If there has been a child in your life that just pushes your buttons or even pisses you off regularly, this episode is for you. And it's not about fixing them, it's actually about understanding what they are quietly or maybe loudly with their defiance and backtalk asking for. What is underneath the behavior that this child would love you to know? Hey, friend, welcome back to the Sustainable Parenting Podcast, where we bridge the gap between overly gentle parenting and overly harsh discipline so that you finally have the joy and ease you've been missing. When you are parenting with kindness and firmness at the same time, parenting finally feels sustainable. You have dependable calm and resilience built in your child. I'm your host, Flora McCormick, licensed therapist, parenting coach, and I'm so glad you're here. I get to see behind the curtain of a lot of parents' pain. I get to sit with them in a private space where they often are saying for the first time openly to someone else, I love my kid, but lately or often, I don't even like them. And it makes me start hating motherhood and it makes me feel bad about myself. And I'm embarrassed. No one else knows this, Flora. And I want you to know if you are sitting here relating to that, you're not alone. And it doesn't mean that something's really, really wrong with your kid or really, really wrong with you. It often means that you have a very challenging child that is uniquely extra strong willed, uniquely sensitive, or a combination of the two. And when we have those children and we didn't really get a playbook for what to do in those scenarios, or worse, we were a similar child as a kid and our parents handled those things in very hurtful ways. So all we know is what we really don't want to do. It's very easy to feel stuck. So let's talk about Jason. Jason is a kid that easily gets his feelings hurt. It's like you're walking on eggshells whenever you're around him. It feels like the slightest thing can make him mad. And on the reverse, it's also very confusing because he can be incredibly hurtful to others and have a bite with his words that is so sharp. It's like he doesn't even seem to care about how much he can be hurtful. So if your kid's been a pain in the butt, having attitude, being rude, ignoring you, I know this is a very different angle, but let's stand in Jason's shoes for just a second. If he's sitting there feeling that sense of not being who you want him to be, and being that he may be getting messages from you that, like, ugh, why can't you just be? Or you have nothing to give to this system. That wouldn't feel good, right? When parents of kids that have a Jason that is pushing all their buttons step into looking for ways to have them be more seen and have more significance in the family, I have seen it be transformational. And hey, it's so much easier than what kind of consequences can we give? What's the right lecture we're going to give? How are we going to get through to this kid? What things can we take away from him? And all of that battle. I've seen way better results taking this angle. So, that kid that's a pain in your side, today, I invite you to see it with a lens that he is asking for a way to be seen and appreciated for his unique self and to have more of a sense of significance in the family. Seen and significant. What do those two things mean? First of all, seen. I often find parents of Jason's end up wishing their kid could be someone else. Like, why is he so sensitive? Why is he so difficult? Have you been focused on the child you ought, not the child you got? Wishing, hoping, thinking someday maybe this kid will be more like dot, dot, dot. If so, I invite you today to know that child feels that. And they are screaming inside or screaming out loud at you in their behavior in some way to try to let you know that hurts. And they are starving for you to open your lens a little wider, see their unique genius and creativity and style and what they love and what fills their cup, and say, that's cool. Wow, I'm learning to uncover who you are, and I want to enhance helping you be more of yourself in a way that benefits you and society instead of expecting you to be just like me or like something else I thought you would be. So, first and foremost, our kids want to be seen for who they are, loved on, enjoyed. And if you want a few tips on how to do that, go to my last episode where I talked about 3 small gestures that really fill up the love cup in special, tangible, really specific ways. And that might give you some ideas to further give that specific feedback to your child that you love who they are. Next, your Jason in your life may be craving more of a sense of significance. Now, we know this from Rudolf Dreikurs, who was a researcher and child psychologist and is the foundation of much of child psychology today in our best evidence based practices. He said that kids need a sense of significance and belonging. And actually, he found this was like the social drive of all humans, but especially our kids when they're misbehaving. Often it's a sign that they're missing that. And we know in positive discipline, we talk about a misbehaving child is a discouraged child. Kids who feel good do good. Now, that phrase has always irked me a little because it feels very overly simplistic. Like, oh gosh, every time my kid isn't doing good, does that mean they don't feel good? Ugh. But really, if we boil it down, that it kind of is that simple. There's something not jiving for them. They don't know how to contribute in a meaningful way to what the family is doing. They don't know how they can fit in being their unique, different self. They may be someone who really does have big emotions and are more sensitive, and they don't like how it disrupts the family as much as you don't like how it disrupts the family, but they don't know what to do with it, and they are craving how to feel like there's some significance to their emotion. One of my favorite ways to do this is to talk to a child about how that challenge is probably one side of a two-sided coin. I'll say to my son Caleb, I'm like, you know what, buddy? You get so like flustered at yourself for not being the best on your basketball team, and this is something that is both going to be your greatest strength and your greatest challenge in life, that you want to be the best. Of course, that's good. That makes you work hard. That makes you have a lot of heart in the game when you're there. And on the hard side, it means you get very discouraged and can be tempted to want to give up when you aren't the best. Pointing out both sides of the coin, I find gives them space to not just feel bad about that challenge, but to also see there are strengths in that challenge. So, looking for ways they can feel significant, even if they are sensitive, even if they are strong willed, being like, how can I help this kid be a leader in our household? Often, a way to frame that, if you have a child that's a pain in your butt because they're always trying to take control of the situation by digging their heels in, how can you give control so they feel significant in a positive way? For really little kids, that might be as easy as using asking instead of telling, like, what's your plan for getting this cleaned up? Or, hey, it's time to go upstairs. Do we want to go right side up or upside down? What part do you want to clean up? What part do you want me to clean up? We're leaving the park in a few minutes. Should I set the timer for 3 minutes or 4? Those are all ways to help a younger child feel empowered. And for older kids, it can be like, how can we give you more ownership, more ways to belong in this family by being involved usefully? It's one of my favorite thoughts from positive discipline about let's look at this child that is very discouraged and showing it in ways that are just a pain in my side and wonder how could I give him more of a sense of belonging and significance by involving him usefully. Instead of, gosh, can't you guys just play nicely? Pull him in to make dinner with you. How can you give them a sense of significance with that unique person they are? I think of my friend Jessica, who I began my parent coaching work with 15 years ago in Missoula. And she had a son who was being a pain in the butt to his siblings and was, back talking when he was asked to do his chores. And after a positive discipline workshop, She took this principle and said, this kid loves animals. And so I've wanted to get him into volunteering for years. And it finally just gave me that nudge to be like, we're doing it. And I reached out to the local animal shelter, found out he could volunteer 1 weekend a month. And he now has been doing that for 3 months. And it has changed this kid. He's more cooperative. He's more friendly. He's just spontaneously kind to his siblings. I had no idea that just giving him a role of significance, something to do that felt meaningful to him in this volunteer role, was going to transform so many challenging behaviors. That story has always stuck with me when I think of this concept and how powerful it can be to move the dial for a kid that is really frustrating you into more calm and ease and joy in the home. All right, friend, and next week we're going to talk about our leadership in parenting. If you've been frustrated that you feel like your kid does not allow you to go to bed at the time you want to, does not allow you to cook the meals that you want to, will not ever give you calm in the car rides, and it just feels like it's a little tiny tyrant is ruling the roost, if that's something you're struggling with, please join me next week.
Listeners, if you need parenting advice, talk to my mom. Sustainable Parenting with Flora McCormick.